Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank each of you for joining on your mats for this class of Month in Review in September 2023. As is our ritual, our Month in Review is a review of the month's theme and highlights. And this month's theme and highlights have all centered around recognizing change out there and in here. In this season of September, we recognize many changes in nature. Summer stepping aside for autumn. And that's outwardly. But inwardly, yoga is inviting us to focus on our body-mind changes and how our inner changes connecting to the outer changes. So your yoga invitation for today is to let my cues guide you as we review recognizing change out there and in here. We begin with our ritual practice of moving into stillness. We gift ourselves these precious few moments to arrive fully on our mat, centering and stilling. Yoga is a way of moving into stillness in order to experience the truth of who you are. Eric Schiffman. From this practice of stillness, we invite movement. The eyes begin to open. The arms begin to reach out into a wingspan. Our palms and arms reach upwards. And as we release a breath, turn the palms outwards, release the arms downwards. Just two more. Just begin noticing this inner change of breath, body sensations, perhaps movements of mind. And when that's completed for you, just gently place the palms on your thighs or knee area and begin to stir your spine this morning. Just let your body circle around in this free flowing movement. Our inner awareness is focusing on changes of breath here, sensations of body, and the movements of mind. Those are the inner changes we'll be focusing on in our month in review. Come back into that center and just pause. Just notice that pausing. At the very next breath, we move in the opposite direction. Just turn your circles around. It's all about freedom, but also about recognizing inner changes. And as Eric Schiffman reminds us, always, always, always experiencing the truth of who you are. How about one more? When you come back to that center, pause. Notice the pause once again. And with the very next breath, we'll invite some seated spinal waves. Hands on the thighs, knee area, and as you receive a breath, lightly draw the chest forward. Feel the shoulder blades slide down. Feel the collarbones broaden out and gaze upwards. Now releasing breath, the head starts to bow. Shoulders lift lightly, and then you round back. So the arms stretch out, but you support your body with your hands and arms onto the legs or knees. Receive, pulling of the chest forward. Release, reaching your body back. One or two more of these flows, please. And what's changing for you here? Maybe small, maybe delicate, maybe there's a vast change you're noticing. We're all back into our center, and then the arms are going to reach outwards and circle all the way upwards. Fingers interlace here, palms spin all the way up. Lifting up through the palms of your hands, gazing upwards. Just notice when you gaze up, feel that little bit of extended reach through the palms of your hands. And as you release the breath, elbows bend, palms come behind the head, head bows, elbows draw together and round forward. So here we go, just a variation on a spinal wave. We rise to center, elbows open out, palms of our hands lift up, eyes gaze up, release, elbows bend. Palms of the hands behind the head, elbows draw together, chin tucks down, body rounds forward. Let's do one more. We're always changing. And we each change in the seasons of our own lives. But we all invite yoga to meet us where we are today. With the elbows out wide, separate the fingers, reopen the arms, feel the fullness of wingspan. Bring the palms down, arms come down. Begin to transition to Dandasana. So you're going to stretch the legs forward. Perhaps you have your little prop of a pillow, blanket, or little block that you put behind the knees or under your hips. And when you receive this next breath, feel the uplifted torso. Release the breath. Settle into this pose. And we'll invite movement again. A little side, lateral stretching now. The left arm is going to reach out, 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 and let it lift all the way up. The right hand just reaches out to the right, and you reach over to the right side. We'll all come back into that center. Lifting of the right arm, lowering of the left arm, reach up through the right fingertips, release a deep breath. Reaching over to your left side. The rising to center, releasing the right, lifting the left, receiving a breath, releasing the breath, and reach. Maybe the reach is a little bit deeper now. Notice. Receive to center, And release as you reach over to your left side. Beautiful. We all come back into our center. Reopen both arms into that big wingspan. Circle the arms forward. Plant the palms down just outside the hip area and tuck the chin and lightly lean back. See if you can lean all the way back onto the forearms. So the hands may slide back when you do that. And when you receive the next breath, we're going to lightly lift the chest up and then just gaze upward. So the chin lifts away from the hollow of your throat. Push down into the forearms to feel those shoulders lifting through the front body. The releasing breath, begin to bow the head. Tuck the chin back towards the hollow of your throat. Even lean back a little more if it's available for you. 2 more. Receive. The palms press down, the outer forearms press down, the chest lifts, the eyes gaze, release the breath. Tuck the chin. Roll back lightly. And last time. So these are some new changes. So really pay attention inwardly. How's that rhythm of breathing? What bodily sensations and movements of mind are you observing? And we'll all come back to center. Let your hands and arms help lift your body back to Dandasana. Transition to tabletop. Remember how you transition on your mat is how you transition in life. Tabletop will flow through the spinal wave here to child's pose. We receive a breath in neutral. We release a breath. The head bows down, the tailbone tucks down, and the hips reach back towards the heels. Soften the forearms. Receive a breath. Rise back to the tabletop and lift through the crown of the head and your tailbone. Upward wave. Downward wave. And let the hips reach back. Receiving breath. Flow through neutral. And rise through the crown of your head and your tailbone. Last time, flow with your own rhythm. So our body, mind is changing with the seasons of our lives. We're recognizing this in detail today as we pay attention. We're all back into our tabletop. We transition to downward dog. Let the toes tuck. Let the heels reach back again. We're going to hover the knees to start to energize, start to get some warmth and vigor going here. So we hover the knees. We notice the other inward changes that we transition to for alignment. We might start breathing a little bit deeper to maintain this strength, this energy. And then we'll rise. So receive the next breath. Let the legs start to stretch out. Feel the hips reaching up, and let your body reach back. Walk your dog. This is our first downward dog, so pedal the heels. Get into a little flow. And we'll come back to the center with the heels lifted high. Move into that little twist. Release the breath. Pivot on the balls of your feet. Heels reaching over towards the right side. Receive a breath. Rise the heels. Pivot back through center. Release the next breath. Let the heels reach over towards your left side. One more. Rise to center. Release. Over, right. Rise back to center. Feel the pivoting. Feel the movement. Feel the activity. Notice breath. Notice body sensations. Notice movements of mind. And from downward dog, we'll move into an energizing split dog, knee to nose. So we reach out our left leg. Feel the split dog today. Bend the left knee. Draw the left knee under your body. Tucking chin. Drawing knee to nose, nose to knee. Reach it all the way back out. Release. Hug it in. Woo-hoo. One more. Let it reach. Wow. And hug all the way back in. Come back. Downward facing dog. Or move into a little tabletop or child's pose. But stay energizing so we can really pay attention to these changes inwardly. And now outwardly, we might be noticing, there's some competition that I'm doing with myself. There's some judgment I'm placing on myself. There's some expectations I'm giving myself. If it doesn't serve you, go back to the inner body. Breath, body, mind. Here we go. As we review this for the opposite side. Heels rise up, release a breath. This time, pivot on the balls of the feet. Heels to the left side. Move back to center. Pivot on the balls of the feet and let the heels reach over to the right side. One more. Breathe deeper. Energizing. Noticing. This is all about inner and outer changes. Here we are back into our center. Downward dog. Reach out the right leg. Split dog. As you bend that right knee, you tuck the chin. You hug knee to nose, nose to knee. Then you let it reach out. And you hug it all the way back in again. And again. Changes, changes, changes. Stay aware. Notice. And we all meet back together. Downward facing dog. 2 breaths. Broaden the shoulders. Here we go. Heels rise, rise, rise up. Shift the body forward so we can come down slowly onto our knees. Easy does it. And we're going to go right into forearm plank. So you're going to start to slide the hands forward. Interlace your fingers here today, please. If whatever little pinky finger is on the bottom, pull it to the inside. So just the outer hands are resting on the mat for support. Outer forearms pressing down for support. Gaze down at the knees so the neck stays long. Receive a breath, stretch out the right leg, right to the tippy toes. Muscular energy. Receive the next breath, stretch out the left leg, right to the tippy toes. Lower the hips. This is an intuition. Hips and shoulders level. Breathe. So in this practice, how does this change your inner awareness of breath? How you still breathing? What are the sensations of body? Yeah, they might be shaking. They might be like, whoa, that's the movements of mind. Go back to breath. One more breath. We got this. Yeah. And with the next breath, we're going to go to dolphin. So we rise the hips. Look down at the toes. Walk the toes in just a step or two. We're in dolphin pose. Broaden those shoulders. Stay strong. Breathe deep. Here we go. Step the feet back to forearm plank. We got it. Now, release the hands down. Release the belly down. Notice those changes. Release the knees down. We're going to bend the knees, pull up the lower legs. Let's cross the ankles and then do the opposite way so get your attention. Slide the hands back So they're right underneath the shoulders. Hug the elbows in, and we're going to do a modified cobra. Receiving breath. Start to lift through the crown of your head. Pull those shoulders back. And just stay with this practice. Just notice. Now you're going to start recognizing when things get challenging, the outer changes start to get our attention, like competition, expectations, and judgments. So we're going to do one more breath here. Let's get stronger. Release the breath. Slowly lower down. Lower the legs down. You're going to transition to downward dog. Do you want to lift the knees and rise to plank down dog? You want to go to tabletop and then lift to down dog? Do what serves you. Stay true to yourself. Familiar downward dog. And now we're going to review our variation of Sun Cell A. So from downward dog, you're going to step that left leg forward. You might go to split dog and step it forward. You might go to tabletop and then step it forward. And then you're going to bring that right leg forward. You might go to standing split and bring it forward. You might help it up from tabletop. And then you're going to rise to the upward salute. So the arms reach out to that full wingspan. Draw those shoulder blades back. Draw the navel inwards and begin to rise upwards. Feel the lifting. Let the palms turn upwards. Just notice that little change. Let the arms circle, 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 circle all the way up. Even lift your toes if you can here. As you release the next breath, we begin the flow of Sun Cell A with a variation. Arms reopen through wingspan. You're going to go into forward fold. So how is that going to serve your body today? Soften knees, straighter legs. Fold all the way. And then bring yourself into a half lift. As we did last week, palms to the shins, please. You can really notice that inner change when you lift the chest away from your thighs with half lift. Lengthen the neck, so gaze down. And then very, very gently soften the knees, plant the palms down. So you're going to frame both feet. And you're going to step that right leg all the way back into your low crescent lunge. Top of the right foot down. As you receive the next breath, the arms reach back and lift up to airplane arms. Draw those collarbones open. Shoulder blades down. Release the breath. Release the arms. As you receive your next breath, arms reach forward. Body lifts all the way up. The torso's lifting, lifting, lifting. The releasing breath. You're going to slowly release the arms forward. Stretch the left leg out. Bring the arms all the way down and then lift the arms up behind you into airplane arms. Flow. Release the breath. Releasing arms. Receiving breath. Reach into your low crescent lunge. The releasing breath. We reach and bow forward. Leg stretches out. Receive the breath. Lift the arms up behind airplane. One more. Flow with it. I'd like to refocus now again on our outer changes. That's where we notice competition, expectations, and judgments. And if they don't serve us, we go back to the inner awareness of breath, body, and mind. And when we're all together in our low crescent lunge, we're going to let the arms open out to the big wide wingspan. Plant both palms down, framing just the left foot now. Tuck the back toes under. Lift that back knee. Step back to your downward facing dog. Couple breaths. Be home. Breathe deep. Prepare for this on the opposite side. Our breath moves body. We know that this is yoga, but we're always being reminded of these small details so we never ever forget. Begin. Right leg is going to either go to split dog or you're going to go to tabletop, and you're going to bring that right leg forward. The left knee softly comes down, top of the left foot comes down. Receive the next breath. Reach the arms back. Here comes your airplane arms again. Reach them back, reach them back, reach them back, and then release. Release the arms. Receive your next breath. Reach the arms forward. Rise the body up. Lift through those fingertips. Lift through the eyes. Lift through the heart center. The releasing breath. You slowly start to hip hinge, reaching the arms forward. Again with receiving breath. Lift the arms up behind you, airplane. Do one more. Flow with the rhythm that's serving you right here, right now. And as you recognize those inner, outer changes here, always invite yoga to meet you where you are. To expect any more wouldn't serve you. All in our low crescent lunges. Then we release the breath. The arms open through wingspan this time. Turn the palms forward. Circle the arms forward. Plant the palms downward. Tuck the back toes. Lift that back knee and step back to your favorite flow to downward facing dog. One more breath. Got it. And then we're going to step our toes to the top edge of our mat. Whether we take our walking meditation, whether we do a split dog and then a standing split, maybe you have another way. And when the toes are towards the top edge of your mat, soften the knees, open the arms. We're going to rise again. Upward salutes. Let the arms reach and rise all the way up once again. We're going to do some lateral stretching. So I'm going to turn to the long edge of my mat just to face the camera. You can stay exactly where you are. From this upward salute, maybe your shoulders need a little loving care today, and keeping the arms up is not serving them. So just bring your hands to your hips and practice there. Maybe keeping the arms shoulder width apart. Maybe namaste hands. Maybe steeple mudra. Maybe fingers interlaced, palms lift up. Play with those options. Find the one that's right for you. Receive a nice deepened breath. And as you release the breath, you're going to softly bend the left knee. Cross the left leg on top of the right leg. Hug them together. Receive and lift again through those arms. Notice that interchange. And release as you reach over to your right side. Receive a breath back to your center. Micro bend the knees. Lift that right foot up. Plant the left leg down. Receive a breath. Soften the left knee. Pick up the right foot. I'm mirroring you. Cross that right leg on top of the left leg. Lift again through the arms or palms or steeple mudra and release. And reach over to your left side. Here we go. Back to center. We're going to flow 2 more rounds. Find your center. cross the left leg, lift up and reach over to your right side. The rising back to center. There you go. Flow with the rhythm that serves you here. It's always good just to review those interchanges. Just notice where breath is. Any bodily sensations that are giving an edge of kind of sharpness or hotness or tightness. Make it softer. Honor your body today. And if the movements of our mind are telling us stories that aren't true, just go back to breath. And we're all back into that center. Side stretching. Now we're going to turn the palms down or separate the fingers. We're going to open those arms through wingspan. Now we're going to circle them behind us. So let those arms circle behind you. Interlace the fingers or do reverse ragdoll arms or just hold on to one opposite forearm. Whatever those practices serve you, you're going to focus on opening the collarbones here, drawing the shoulder blades down, engaging Mula Bandha, just to feel this opening and lifting through the front body. We're setting up our body to do a little back bend to help strengthen the back body from this place. So when you release the next breath, firm through the glutes and just gently press the pelvis forward. Just feel that little bit of shifting energy. Receive the next breath. Lift through the front body again. Keep that lifting action. It's a gentle curve. It never kinks at your favorite places. It's a gentle curve the whole way. And when you release the next breath, maybe you tuck the chin into the hollow of your throat and you lean back or salute back a little deeper. Maybe not. Maybe you gaze upwards through the eyes and you salute back just a little deeper. Maybe not. I'm just giving you options, what's going to serve you. Do one more breath in the place that's serving you best. And then we'll all come back to our center slowly. Feel the center. Separate, open the arms back out through that big, widest wingspan. It's not just a movement. It's always with intention. Reaching, feeling, finding a new edge. And then circle them all the way up. And slowly begin to forward fold once again. So I'm going to turn back to the top edge of my mat to meet you where you are as we all fold forward in whatever fashion is serving our body now. It may have changed since your very first forward fold today. It may be remaining the same today as your first one. Just to notice is that inner awareness and those inner changes and how they're serving the forward fold. Really tuck the chin wherever you are. And then please half lift. Palms onto the shins to feel that inner shifting of the chest, lifting away from your thighs. And as you release that next breath, we're going to soften the knees together. Here comes our fierce pose or chair pose. Little flow, little vinyasa today. And then the hands reach out through the arms. We draw the palms together at the heart center. Let the thumbs lightly touch the heart center here. Here comes our fierce pose. Yeah, we recognize this. It's always awkward. That's why many schools of yoga just call it awkward pose. But notice your breath and your body sensations, your movements of mind when you're in an awkward place. Here we go. From this place, we're going to move into a twist. The breath is released. The hips hinge us forward. chest is moving towards the tops of our thighs. Now we turn our torso to the right. The left elbow comes to the inner right thigh on top or the outer edge. And then we gaze over towards our right elbow. And then we feel breath, body, and notice the movements of mind. And then we turn again if it's appropriate for our practice today. And if there's competition, expectations, or judgment, those outer changes that aren't serving us, go back to your inner changes. Breath. Here we go. Release a breath. Release that right elbow. If it lifted, come back into your center. Thumbs return to the heart. Yes, the thighs are really talking to us now, but they're getting stronger because of that. And then we're going to rise to the upward salute. The legs stretch out, the arms reach up. Reach, reach, reach up. Even lift your toes again if you can do that. Release the breath. Return the thumbs to travel to your heart center. Softly bend the knees. Gently hip hinge forward. Slowly turn to the left side. Bring the right elbow to the inner, on top, or outer edge of that left thigh. Gaze over towards your left shoulder. Turn, turn, turn. And we'll all come back to our center. Do it slowly, mindfully, with awareness. That's mindfulness. And then we start to rise back into that prayer chair fierce pose, and then to the upward salute. So you notice a lot of changes when you transition from that prayer awkward pose, chair pose, or fierce pose, and to that upward salute once again. And then we're going to take this little fierce pose or chair pose into another flow. So again, release that breath. Open those arms through your wingspan. Now, draw the arms together in front of you. Palms face each other. Fingers stay reaching really, really outward away from you. Start to soften the knees. You're flowing through the chair pose again, or the fierce pose. And then you keep reaching the fingers out because you're shifting inwardly and outwardly. And then when the hips keep coming down, down, down towards the heels, you shift again. You start to lift the heels up. So you're coming up towards the tippy toes. Keep the arms reaching for your leverage of balance. Keep the hips lowering towards your heels. Do your best. There's no place to arrive in yoga. Just always mindfully paying attention and doing what serves you best. And when that place is just right for you, you transition into kind of a fun boat pose. So you widen the knees. Let the knees widen out, widen out. Even push the hips back further. Knees widen, hips push back, arms reach forward, and then you slowly come down to the sit bones and you transition to boats. We'll bend our knees here. Maybe you support your boat today. And you just have your hands behind the knees or thigh area. But lift the heart. And if you can, you open those arms out. Stretch the legs out and go into sun god arms. And then return to the soft knee boat. So the knees softly bend. The arms reach forward, palms face each other. So the calves of your legs are parallel to the mat in this little softer boat. If you're available to continue with another flow, you begin to open the arms, you begin to stretch out the legs, and then you create sun god arms, and you return back to the softer boat. Flow one more time or just stay where you are. It's a challenge. And that's why we want to do some of these really deeper themes of inner awareness. And then those outer things of competition, judgments, and expectations. And then everybody softly plant the soles of your feet down onto your mat. Hold on to the outer thighs or in front of the knees. We're going to do a seated spinal wave here just to retrieve. So as you receive a breath, you pull the chest forward, slide the shoulders back, and release the breath. Start to bow the head forward. Start to lean back. Now you've got all the support you need. Your hands and arms holding onto your legs or knees. So lean back, round through the back body. Pull yourself forward, gazing upwards, releasing breath, leaning or reaching back. One more. The body pulls forward, the shoulder blades slide down, the collarbones broaden out, and release the breath. Head bows, chin tucks, lean back, and come back into your center. Slowly transition to Dandasana. Just let the legs stretch out. Have your prop, your little blanket, pillow, or block underneath your knees or underneath your hips. Lift the torso. Dandasana doesn't really need any further movements, just to really notice what Dandasana is giving our body. It tells us pretty quickly that, yeah, it takes a lot of inner support to keep the torso lifted and the legs stretched out. The mind, the movements of our mind, might be telling us, oh, just let go, just relax, it's too hard, your body doesn't like it. If it's only the mind talking to you, go back to breath, trust your body. Notice the changes. How's that change for you? Yeah. And then we'll review that variation of a pigeon pose that we did in our first class this month. So from Dandasana, we're going to slowly shift the body's weight towards the right hip, free the left hip, soften the left knee, and just let that left leg slowly come down onto the outside of your mat, maybe inside of your mat, wherever it's right. Have the pillow block underneath if you need. And then just gently bend that right knee. The lower leg might be parallel to the front of your mat. It might be 45 degrees, it might be 60 degrees. But the biggest alignment to be paying attention to is that you notice the outer edge of the front leg and you notice the outer edge of your front thigh resting on the mat, so that will give you all the alignment that you need for the rest of your hip area there. And then you lift again the torso and return towards a little twist. So we slowly turn our body towards the left. We bring the right hand and arm over to the left thigh, knee, wherever it wants to softly touch. And then we lift that left arm and we circle it around to the outside, lower it down, press down into either the fingertips or the palm, or maybe you've got your block behind you just to support, and you gaze over towards your left shoulder. And then notice if the outer edge of that right leg is being felt, lower and upper. One more breath. Settle into it. It's different, so there's lots of changes. And then we'll start to lift that left arm up. We start to slowly bring the body back to center, so the navel is now looking straight forward again, both arms forward. Plant the hands down outside the hip area, whatever it is to support you. Pause here, breathe here, or return back into that little twisting flow, or begin to release the breath, walk the hands forward and bow forward. It's just to explore into some new shapes as you pay attention to the inner changes and the outer changes. And how are they serving you in on something new like this? I'm going to take 2 more breaths in the place of your choice here. And then it's the slow return. So wherever you are, you're going to slowly bring your body back into your center. Yeah, lift the torso, relax the shoulders. Again, shift towards the right outer hip. Free the left hip. Stretch the left leg out. Stretch the right leg out. Yep, we're back home, Dandasana. If it feels good, you bounce behind the knees. You do what's right for you. You receive this next breath with lifted torso. You release the breath. We start to change towards that variation of pigeon pose. So we're going to roll to the left hip to free the right hip as we bend the right knee. And we bend it wherever it's right for us. And we might put a blanket under it, a pillow under it. And then we just simply bend the left knee in front of the right knee. There we go. It might look a little different than your other side, and that's okay. We're not built the same from side to side. We're going to slowly begin to lift the torso again, and then move into that little twist. We lift the left arm, circles in front. We bring the left hand over to the right leg. We circle the right arm around. We softly come down to the fingertips or the palm. And with 2 breaths, we gaze over that right shoulder. You might notice that you're really using that left hand to help support your body and bring you into this twist. And with that second breath completed, we go back to center. Slowly move the torso. Both hands and arms come back to the center. And then we bring the fingertips down to outside the hip area just to support us. We choose. We stay here and breathe. We return to that little twist again. Or we start releasing a deep breath and we start bowing forward. It's our choice, always, always, always. Make the alignment right for you. As soon as something doesn't feel like it's moving in a easy of a place, either soften the practice and stay with it, or wiggle a little bit into it so the alignment lines up better for you. And then notice those inner changes. Breath, body sensations, movements of mind. Full practice. How about one more of the deepest breath, whatever you chose here. And then we'll rise together. Wherever your body is, you're going to softly transition back into your center. You're going to shift towards the left hip. Circle the right leg forward. Yep. Stretch out the left leg back to Dandasana and bend both knees. Give yourself a nice little hug with the feet elevated or with the soles of the feet on your mat. Yogi's choice. And then transition into the supine pose. So you know you have many choices here too. The knees bent with support of the hands and arms. The knees bent without support of the hands or arms. Dandasana with support or Dandasana without support. When you're in the supine pose, we give ourselves another wonderful little hug. Thighs towards the chest or the knees towards the armpits. Just to let the body settle into supine. Give yourself a little treat of this hug. And then we're moving into the supine windshield wipe twist here today. So the soles of the feet come down and then they scissor walk out to the long edges of your mat. Feel the edges of your mat right in the middle of the soles of your feet. And then keep the knees wide as well. They kind of want to fall in, but we want to keep the knees wide. Yogi's choice with the arms, they open to wingspan or they open to the sun god. We receive a nice deepened breath here. We release a breath and both knees release to the right, and then we come back to center to receive a breath. We're just letting our body know it's going to shift here. Release the next breath. Just release the knees the breath's worth over to the right. Receive the breath, bring them back to center. Now we'll continue this journey. Deepen into the receiving breath. Begin releasing a long, deep breath as the knees release, release, release to the right. You're going to keep breathing as you move here. Your rhythm might just be to softly move and breathe. Your rhythm might be to release the knees only with the releasing breath and pause for the receiving breath. If you try both ways, you'll really know what's going to serve you. Full pose. One more deep, full breath. We'll come back to center with the receiving breath. We move the body again. We begin with the left knee lifting lightly, then the right knee lifts slightly back to center. Check in that you're still in alignment for windshield wipe twist. Receive a deep breath. Releasing of the breath, the knees release just that breath's worth over to the left. Receive and bring them back to your center. Again, releasing a breath, knees release to the left. Receive, bring them back to center. Continue. Deep receiving breath right here in center. Begin releasing the breath as the knees begin releasing, releasing, releasing to the left. Notice any outer changes. Is there any sensation of competition here? It's with yourself. Are there any expectations that you're noticing that are creeping up, that aren't serving you? Do you notice any judgments that you're telling yourself that may not be true? Then go back to the inner changes of breath, body sensations, and movements of your mind. And bring them back home in connection. So let's do one more of the deepest breath we can here. And our next breath will bring us back to center. We slowly begin to lift the right knee ever so lightly, followed by the left knee. Yep, we're all back in center. We scissor walk the feet together. We bring the arms down by our sides. Again, both feet are lifted. We hug in, thighs to chest or knees to armpits as we roll from hip bone to hip bone. We pause when we come back into that center. We receive the next breath and we begin to elevate our legs together. As always, yogi's choice, with support of your hands or arms. You might even move over to an open wall or a closed door to support you. You might let the legs elevate on their own without any support. You might just soften the knees, and if there's a chair nearby, you just put the calves of your legs on a chair and let that be your practice today. Our theme this month has been all about recognizing changes out there and in here. And how has this theme served your practice this month? With your very next breath, invite your body to softly move towards Shavasana. We'll keep the legs elevated if that serves you best today. Shavasana. Our Shavasana reading today is a review of our other readings this month. Change is not only inevitable, but always happening. Change goes on inside as well as outside. When we embrace this concept of change being constant, we grow, venture inwards, touch the spirit, and find our source, the one responsible for keeping us grounded through the ever-changing seasons of our lives. awareness to that place between your eyebrows. Expanding that awareness into your space, and the wiggling through your toes, ankles, fingers, and wrists. Softly invite your left palm to rest at your heart center, right palm across your belly, nourishing your body with several deep, refreshing breaths. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Invite your next breath to awaken you and give your body an awakening stretch. And from this awakening stretch, we bend our knees, turning all the way onto our right side. And begin to gently rise to your seated position. In our easy seated poses with Anjali Mudra, we receive a deepened breath. We release the breath and bow forward. As we receive, we rise back together. And in closing today, thank yourself for taking the time to reconnect and know that everything you did was enough. Namaste. Thank each of you again for being here in this month in review practice. Bye-bye for now.